Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be my first trimester vlog. It is going to be me updating you guys on my first 14 weeks, more like 13 weeks, because now I am 14 weeks today. So it will be an update of the last 13 weeks of my pregnancy, the first, not the last. And I guess in this video, it's just going to be me going over my symptoms, what it's been like, the technically second time around being pregnant. I don't know if you've seen my previous videos before, and if you're new to my channel, you don't know this, but I actually had a horrible miscarriage last year, and I was about 12 weeks when I miscarried. And I was in a really bad state after. I unfortunately had horrible complications from it. I had my miscarriage sadly naturally at home, and I went to the hospital, went to the doctors. They're like, this is natural, just let it run its course. And it was like 8 weeks later, and I'm like, I'm still bleeding heavy. I still have horrible symptoms happening. So then they're like, okay, well then you probably have retained product, so we'll send you in for DNC, yada yada yada, and then end up having even worse complications from the DNC procedure. But if you want to know more about it, check out my other videos. They're way more informative. They're really long, but that's just for my own sake, as well as to get out there kind of some education, because I know a lot of people talk about their miscarriage. So anyways, so I had a miscarriage. So this is my second pregnancy, and I am out of that terrible scenario where everything is up in the air for your first 14 weeks. And usually this is the time where everyone starts telling other people that they're pregnant. I, however, do not understand this. When I did this somewhat in my first pregnancy. I kind of told a few people right away, like in my 6th and 7th week. I told my best friend because she was living with me at the time, and then I told some of my family members, because I ended up having to go on family trips, so it was like pretty obvious, like I'm not drinking or doing anything, so like I had to be pretty obvious at that point. But yeah, so basically I would suggest not doing that. I would suggest telling early. Don't wait unless you feel you want to. I find that it's super important to tell pretty much right away, because if you do happen to have a miscarriage, you have your whole support system around you. And to me, that is super important, because with mental health, one of the biggest scenarios with people who are going through tragedy or loss or any form of trauma, any sort of thing that puts you out of your normal state of mind, is your support system. And I think it's extremely valid and important for people to know about how you're feeling and what it's like for you in the moment, because a lot of people don't really have support systems. Some people live far away from family, and now we're in an age where you can go on FaceTime and you can be connected with somebody who's across the world, which is amazing. And we've got to take advantage of that kind of stuff nowadays, because you're gonna, in a blink of an eye, forget. And no one to this day has had as much science and exponential growth as it has today. So, I mean, before I get on a tangent, I just want to say, like, your support system is extremely important during the first 14 weeks of your pregnancy, because anything can happen. It's still the developing stage. You have no idea whether or not it's going to continue or not, and it still is a concern for the rest of your pregnancy, but it's not as bad of a concern because you've done all the genetic testing. You kind of understand that your levels are going higher and higher, or leveling out at what it should be, and so you're not as concerned with a miscarriage, whereas you are with the first 14 weeks. Now, that being said, I did this differently this time. I told people right away. As soon as I found out, literally within a week, I was telling people. I was like, I have to tell people. I didn't want to wait. I thought that last time it was really crappy for me, and I didn't want to do that again. So this time my first trimester was so much better, and we'll just hop right into the video. So I'm gonna kind of go by week in a way. Some are clumped together because a lot of the stuff wasn't changing. It was just kind of the consistent thing over and over again. So let's start. So for the 5th week, I actually found out when I was pregnant right away, because what was interesting is that I randomly, Tyler and I were like, we're finally ready to start trying again. And we literally tried twice, like not even like really tried. We were like, as it was happening, we were like, whatever, let's just see what happens. We had no idea we were gonna get pregnant right away. And that is another thing. Once you've had a miscarriage, apparently you get pregnant way faster. But I had already gotten pregnant so fast the first time. I was actually expecting it to take longer this time. So it didn't. And thankfully it did not take long. And so I found out I was pregnant January 23rd. But like, it was such a shock because I really didn't think I was pregnant. Like, I really was like, there's no way I'm pregnant. Like, I tried twice and it wasn't like, and it happened to fall on my ovulation week, sort of. I don't really know, because based on my calendar, I was having really weird periods because I just had a miscarriage, so there wasn't a consistent timeline for me to get pregnant. And so somehow I did it at the right time. And so I found out I was pregnant in January, and I tried on January 1st and January 6th. So those were my conception dates. And so basically I found out right away. I thought I had COVID. I was super like nauseous and sick, and I'm like, had headaches going on. It was way different symptoms than my first time being pregnant. So I thought I had COVID, and I was at school, so I was like around everybody. And basically, no. I was having like bad motion sickness and stuff like that on the bus, which I normally do have motion sickness on the bus bad, but like it was extra bad. So I'm like, this has got to be COVID. So I didn't go to school for a week thinking I had COVID. And then it started to leaven up, and then I'm like having wine with my friend one night, and I have like half a bottle of wine. I wake up the next day and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I feel so nauseous. Why do I feel so nauseous? And I felt like I was so hungover, like I drank like a whole bottle or a bottle and a half to myself. And so I was like, this is so weird. So then I'm like, anyways, I find out I'm pregnant. If you want to watch out my full reveal, how I found out I was pregnant, you can watch my previous video. It explains everything about it. Basically, I found out I was pregnant in my 5th week. What would be my 5th week, because I found out the last week of January, and it happened obviously within the first week of January. So yeah, so I had these symptoms for week 5 and 8. I had heightened sense of smell. Oh my god, it was so bad. The last time I was pregnant, it was like this too, but it was like really bad. Like, I could smell somebody smoking 2 floors above me in their house. Like, literally I had to knock on people's doors and be like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I look outside and there's like doors and doors down. People are smoking. I could smell it in my apartment. I'm in the corner apartment, and I could smell people from the other side of the building smoking outside. So it was pretty crazy. I had like the craziest sense of smell. Nausea constantly, but it wasn't like as my last time where I was like dead sick from like in bed for like 10 hours a day. Like, this was different nausea. It was like, oh, I could carry on my day, but I still have really bad nausea kind of thing. Like, if I eat the wrong thing, that would make me sick. I wouldn't throw up, but it would make me feel even more sick. Yeah, so that was really bad, and it only really happened in the morning. Like, I think maybe it had to do with like not eating constantly, because when you're pregnant, you're supposed to eat like really frequently so you don't get nauseous. And it was mainly happening at like 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. So like, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. with such bad nausea, and then I would fall back to sleep somehow, or I wouldn't fall back to sleep, and then I would have really bad nausea again. Yeah, so I think it was more like hunger pain and then like dehydration pain. So like the more water you drink, the less nauseous you are because your stomach is full and you're hydrated. So I think it has a lot to do with that. I should mention too, I did have a brief period where I was at a restaurant in the morning and didn't eat, and I actually threw up at the restaurant because I tried to drink some water and I threw that up, and I'm assuming it's because I hadn't eaten in the morning, so it definitely happens. I was though trying to change that. Like I was drinking, like if I woke up in the morning I would drink water. I was trying to change that, but it didn't seem to help, and it lasted for like 3 weeks. So between 5 and 8 weeks, it happened for quite a while. Motion sickness was horrible. I could barely go to school. I'm in college for psychology, and I literally could never go. Like, I ended up having to drop this semester with a compassionate note because I don't even know if it got accepted because it hasn't said anything yet. But basically, this nausea was so bad I couldn't go to school. If I was staring at a screen for too long, I would spin. So I couldn't do it. I was obsessed with BLTs when I didn't even know I was pregnant yet, and I was obsessed with BLTs for like 3.5 weeks. I was obsessed with BLTs. I would have one at least a day. I thankfully was making my own, so it wasn't getting expensive, but holy crap, I was eating so much BLTs. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why the hell am I so obsessed with BLTs? It must be, it's one of those things I'm going through. Nope, I was pregnant. And so then like after 10 weeks, my sense of smell started to fizzle out a little bit, so it wasn't so bad. But then I started craving burgers like no other. So it went from BLTs from like week 2 to like 7. I was eating BLTs like every single day. And then from 7 to 10, I was eating so much burgers, like at least 1 or 2 a day. It was crazy. I was like, I've never been obsessed with meat so much in my life. And it's so different from my last pregnancy. My last pregnancy, I couldn't take meat at all. Like, the only meat I could have was chicken fingers sometimes and turkey. Turkey was the only thing I could eat. I couldn't eat any red meat. I couldn't eat chicken. Eating chicken like regularly, like breast, was just like not good for me. So none of that was for me then. But yeah, this time it was way different. I was eating burgers like every single day, and that's what got expensive. I think I had Bin 4, which is like this really gourmet burger place in town, like 3 or 4 times a week in 1 week, like for 2 weeks straight. I spent so much money on burgers, it was insane. And then there's like another place in town that's really good, Big Wheel, and yeah, again, same thing. I was having like 3 a week. Pretty crazy. I did start to have headaches too. I had like 3 or 4 headaches within that between 8 and, this is now 8 to 10 weeks that I've been starting to have the fizzle out sense of smell, and then the craving the burgers, and then the headaches. I had, within those 2 weeks, I had 3 or 4 headaches, and I was like, oh my god, this is so annoying. The first one that I got was like a migraine like no other. It was horrible. I then also had really sensitive gums, like sensitive in the fact that like I have wisdom teeth in my tops, but I haven't gotten them out because 1, they're expensive, 2, because I don't think they're going to affect my mouth because my mouth is already pushed forward from an accident I had when I was a kid. So, and I'm not going to obviously buy braces because they're not that bad. But basically it, like my wisdom teeth up here were like so swollen. They were like hurting all the time. I couldn't eat on that side of the mouth. And so that was brutal. That was the hard part about weeks 8 to 10. I also started getting sensitive scalp. So like my dermatology was like really, really weird. Like I had breakouts everywhere. And this is what I thought why I was having a girl, which if you haven't watched my gender reveal, you should. I'm having a boy. And I was also like just coupled with a lot of other symptoms I was having, I was like just constantly having a burning scalp, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? A dandruff, I've never had this in my life. Like, it just felt so weird. Like, I thought something was wrong with my head for a while, because like I had such burning happening in my skin. No, apparently your hormones, they like change your skin. Like, you know how like you get pimples if you go through hormone change, and you're like when you're a teenager and stuff. It's the exact same thing when you're an adult and you're having a baby. Like, your scalp inflames because there's so much chemicals changing in your body that like your skin changes. And so like the top of my head was burning for a long time, so I ended up switching to a dandruff control shampoo, like not a prescribed one necessarily, but it does have like the Dove one. I'll put up a photo of me holding it, and it has like a proxenamide or something like that helps control burning sensation. So I started using that. Within my 8th week too, I was having severe nightmares. I, as a kid, have always had, since I was a kid, I've had nightmares. I'm pretty sure it has to do with my serotonin levels. It heightens when I go to sleep. I have like really bad restless syndrome. So like I always feel like I need to be doing something. So when I'm sleeping, it's the same thing. And I just had really bad nightmares. And these ones got significantly really bad. Like murder, my friends leaving, people hating me. Like, there was like so much of like Tyler leaving me. A lot of it has to do with hormonal change. But yeah, it was just like crazy nightmares. I had really bad smelling armpits. I was eating a lot of herb and garlic bagels, with everything bagels, and that also has garlic on it. And this is a symptom. I was like, no, I don't have a boy, so I doubt this is what it is. I just think it's just because I'm pregnant, I have different smelling armpits. No, apparently when you have a boy, garlic, if you eat garlic, your armpits smell like garlic. And it's a thing, because I'm having a boy, and it smelled like garlic. So anytime I was eating garlic, I had smelly armpits. I had some cramping and pains in my lower pelvic area and somewhat in my top, like middle section of my abdominal. And I believe that's from obviously the uterus growing, because I didn't really have those same pains in my last pregnancy because obviously the baby wasn't growing. So this time it was good pains, but still had happening. I didn't need to take Tylenol or anything like that. I didn't take any of that. But what also happened during that time is I got a humongous sinus infection. Again, I thought I had COVID, did not have COVID. I had such a bad sinus infection for 2 weeks. For 24 days, I had a sinus infection. It was horrible, because you easily get sick, and it was like winter time. So like I got sick really easily on that time. I haven't had a sinus cold or a cold of that fact in a decade, probably. Like, even through COVID, I have not gotten sick. COVID, I didn't even get sick. Like, my partner had COVID, didn't get COVID somehow. And I didn't even have the vaccine at that point. And so yeah, so I had a really bad sinus infection that also caused me not to go to school, which really sucked. But that is when I took Tylenol. I had Tylenol a couple times during my sinus infection, but other than that, no, I have not. My belly also, between 8 and 9, my belly grew. I popped like no other. I'll put in a photo there too of me popped. I also got to see my baby's heart, and the first ultrasound in my 8.5 to 9 week ultrasound. It was so cool. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Go check out my other video. I talk about it more, and you get to actually hear the heartbeat. that I've also done in another video, so check out that video too. Yeah, and then my 9th week, I started to be tired all the time, like all the time. It was crazy. I craved, okay, so this is what made me think I was having a girl. After craving burgers, I craved sugar. So I've been going through periods of craving things, clearly, and sugar was the biggest thing I've ever had, like, other than the burgers. Like, it was crazy. I was having sugar constantly. I am not a sugar person. I am not a sugar person at all. Like, if you know me, I don't have sugar ever. Like, I'll buy pretty much anything that has like processed stuff. I don't eat very much of it. I'm actually a really healthy person by, not even by choice, just by how my body feels. I just have some moderation somehow instilled in me. Like, the only thing sugary that I would say that I even had remotely on a daily basis maybe was pop. Like, that's the only thing in my daily life, like not being pregnant, like that's probably what it was. And that's because I was eating something with it. So, yeah, I was obsessed with sweets. I literally nonstop was eating ice cream, nonstop was eating anything that had sugar in it. I was going to Starbucks like 24/7, having those refreshers, which I know has caffeine in them. So I obviously kept my consumption to a minimum of 200 milligrams a day. Don't worry. One coffee has 55 to 60 milligrams, so 4 coffees a day you could technically have. I, however, only just had 1 venti of those, but that's a lot of sugar in that. So I was having those almost every single day, if not, yeah, every single day. And then I would have a decaf coffee. So that's what I was kind of doing. But yeah, so like sugary stuff all the time. I hate marshmallows that are like not burnt to shit. And I bought marshmallows to make Rice Krispie squares. And those sitting in my pantry, I could smell. My sense of smell was so bad. Like I could literally, or like so good, I guess. I could literally smell them across the room. So I have had them in another drawer somewhere in the kitchen. Then I couldn't smell it. Actually, I put it in the spice rack, which had all the other spices in it, so I could not smell them. Holy shit, every time I opened up the spice cabinet, boom, immediately it was like, fuck, I want those, but I hate them, so I didn't eat them. Thankfully, I did not eat them, but damn, they smelled so good. I still had smelly armpits happening. I still had scalps burning, but then I like, the more I used the shampoo, the less it got. I had some back pain happening, mainly on the one side, and I think that's probably because my placenta was growing. I noticed from the beginning, this is what actually made me find out I was pregnant. I was looking at my nails when I was at the bus stop, and I'm like, I need to go back and go buy a pregnancy test. My nails were crazy. I'll put in a clip of my nails and how crazy long they got. My nails are brittle, broken, never go past the white, never shows on my nails. I never ever, no matter how much healthy food I eat, no matter what vitamins I'm taking, I never ever have long nails. This time, long ass nails and hairy body. Like, my arms, my hair is not dark, no dark hair, literally the longest blonde hair ever. I might have a photo to be able to show you, so I'll put that in if I can. But oh my god, such hairy arms. My stomach is covered in long blonde hair. Crazy, which apparently long nails and hairy body are boy symptoms, which I was trying to deny in my last 2 weeks before finding out my gender, but yeah, it definitely is true. And I have really bad acne on my chest, like really bad acne. Same as what was happening on my face. It's no longer on my face anymore. It's all on my chest, like everywhere on my chest, which is so annoying. I hate it. But it is what it is. Now we're on to the 10 and 11th week. So like the end of 10 and 11. I started napping during the days. So like for 2 to 3 hours I ended up napping, which I'm never a nap person. Because it takes a really long time for me to fall asleep at night. But I guess being pregnant, I've been able to sleep 2 to 3 hours during this period, which was really helping a lot with my like tiredness and stuff. I was craving less sugar, but still gravitating to it. So it wasn't like, oh, I need this now. It was more like, oh, I could go for that, which is what normal people are like. Scalp was still kind of tingling. There's nothing I could really do anymore. This is the symptoms that were getting really bad. Really bad IBS kind of stuff happening. Constipation. And I was having bloody stools, which indicated maybe internal hemorrhoids, but we still haven't figured it out. I wasn't super hungry. My appetite went down. I was out of breath more frequently. My bad nightmares were happening a lot. I was waking up from them. But I had like a bigger belly, which was super cool. I got to, which I'll put up a photo of my 11th week. I also got to hear the baby's heartbeat again. So I'll put that clip in, or you can watch my other video. I was super emotional, crying for like lots of stuff, like random ass shit. I was crying a lot. Just super emotional. Anything. I was super sensitive. Then because I was having like bloody stools, TMI, but like it was weird because they were like, yeah, it was just weird. And so I ended up stopped taking my Materna prenatals. I stopped them for a week to see if it was my prenatals that were upsetting my stomach and causing my lining to bleed. I still don't know. I actually kind of feel like it was. But I think it also is just internal hemorrhoids, which there's not really much I can really do about that, except what happens in the later. So that was my 10th, 11th week. And then my 12th to 13 weeks, I had less of an appetite still. I was tired all the time still. I had lots of bloating, and my mental health was really low. I was depressed, really low energy, stressed. I just felt like the pressure of school and not being in school, not doing anything in school, not having my own life right now and just sitting at home constantly. And I tried sewing, I tried painting, I tried cooking, I tried different activities. I just really couldn't get into anything, and I think it was my hormonal change. I don't know. I have a history of depression and anxiety, but it was like so bad that like I felt like it wasn't like I'm not good enough. It was like I need to be doing something or I'm not good enough kind of thing. And I couldn't deal with it. It was crazy. I ended up asking my doctor to see if he can put me on something, and he ended up putting me on Zoloft, which is a different drug that I've been on before, but I haven't started taking it yet because I keep forgetting. And it's been a lot different since I've asked for my compassion letter, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I actually get that. But yeah, so like my stress really was high then, and it was like me getting out of my first trimester, so I was like stressed because this is the exact same timing that happened last time with my miscarriage, and I had so much going on at the same time. My family was going through crazy drama. Yeah, it was a lot. I had loss in my bowel movements, so I was still constipated all the time. I started then taking laxatives after talking to my doctor, so I was taking them like one every other day. Still was constipated. I cannot say that word. I had a hard time sleeping, waking up to pee twice at night at least. Even when I stopped drinking water at around 9:30, 9:45 before I would go to bed, I still was peeing in the middle of the night. That's just pregnancy, I guess. I stopped my naps in week 12. For some reason, I'm not as tired. I still have really bad chest acne, and so that's really annoying still. But yeah, and then in my 13th week, I started gaining my appetite back, which was really nice. Headaches a few times, which was annoying. Not a ton of bowel movements, still not happening. Still taking my laxatives, nowhere near blood, the same stuff happening, because I had like anal discharge and like a bunch of symptoms that was happening that was really bad, that I was like, oh my god, I'm freaking out about. But doctors didn't seem too much worried from it, but that's definitely gone down. Still tired a lot, but not napping. Had some pelvic pain and pressure last week. Like, I think my uterus is just growing. I'm still having a hard time sleeping in full spurts. I wake up a lot in the night. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. My sense of smell came back really strong again for like a couple days. The cigarettes again were really annoying. Although I started getting really excited about the baby in that week, in my 13th week, because like I was out of the clear zone, and like now things are going to start happening. My belly's getting bigger. Although I was getting nervous about the birth aspect, which I've never been scared about before, now I am. There's some things I'm kind of scared about. Belly's just getting bigger, which is awesome. I'm weighing like 3 to 4 more pounds heavier than I was when I first was pregnant, which is really dope. Definitely gained 10 pounds since then, but like I've gained and lost weight depending on what I was eating. Had a few dizzy days last week, so I figured I was really low in iron because I stopped eating a lot of like the burgers and stuff like that, so my iron wasn't as high as it was supposed to be, because apparently you're supposed to have a lot of iron. And so basically I ended up switching to eating like 3 eggs a day in the morning, and taking a lot more spinach, a lot more high density iron things. And I also last week started taking the Ollie brand of prenatals instead of the Materna, because the Ollie are what I was on originally my first pregnancy, and I loved them, and they don't seem to hurt my stomach the same way. And instead of having to take 3 a day like I was in the Materna, I only have to take 2, which is so much easier to keep track of. It's so much easier, and they taste better, and they're sugar free. So yeah, that's kind of like the update of my first trimester. I am just so glad that I'm in my 2nd trimester and things are moving along, and my next appointment I'll be able to hear the heartbeat again, which is next week. Today I'm 14 weeks, next week I'll be 15, and then so 6 more weeks until my anatomy scan, which I'm super excited about. I get to actually see like the whole body and like the genitalia and stuff like that. Now that I know that I'm having a boy, so I'll be able to see that more clearly. The confirmation that I'm having a boy will be then. And yeah, so that's super exciting, I guess. I hope you guys found this informative. I'm mainly making this video for myself so I can keep track of what it's been like for my pregnancy. And yeah, I think I'm just so excited to see what's to come. I just had my gender reveal, so make sure you just check out that video. It was super fun, super exciting, shocking news. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this journey I'm on and stay with me on it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it will be something. Bye!